All right, today with me we have Matt from Certidry out of Madison, Wisconsin. Matt has been with the Restoration ERP platform since around March. And Matt, you were saying you basically started pushing the program and disaster preparedness with your existing and new clients, say about since April. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. We've always had kind of a, prep program or program always, but, I would say March, April, we really started, working with you, getting our website up to date where we have the digital platform that we can offer our clients versus, the old book and binder stuff. They're really transitioning into the digital platform.
Yep, that's great. And so since about that time that you really started pushing this in the 5 to 6 month time frame, what type of success have you already been able to accomplish when it comes to how many agreements are in place, amount of buildings, square feet, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So, like I was saying, we did grandfather in probably five or six of our larger property manager businesses as we have. I kind of grandfathered them in, and we already kind of had an agreement, nothing signed, nothing digital. And so what I did is I took all the information we have with the binders, spent some time, created an account with them on the ERP platform on the website, all the contacts, we had pictures. I went and took more pictures, and I didn't tell them we were doing this. I just kind of went in and showed them, hey, listen, here's currently what we do right here. Let's page these binders. Here's all your contacts. Now let me show you something. Log in. They have their own user ID and password that I made for them. Some change the password, some don't, but that's here and there. They log in and like, wow, what is this? Like, this takes the place of all these binders you have. They log in, they have all their buildings, the picture of the outside of their building, the address, all the contacts. If they have preferred electricians, plumbers, that's all entered. Or if they don't, hey, we have plumbers, electricians we work with. So I went ahead and inputted them in there. The documents, again, a lot of these guys were, not a lot, I'd say probably, let's just say six, were grandfathered in. So we per se didn't have a contract. We do have a contract. It's not a legal binding contract. It's a gentleman's shake saying, hey, if something happens, a water loss, mold loss, fire, asbestos, give us the call. All we're asking is we want the first call, the first right of refusal. If we can't get there, you've got to take care of your customers, your building. So, call the second, third option, but we want the first call. So I did that there, and it's been very well received right now as far as the existing that we had or transitioned in. They love it. They still have the binders, but what they have them like milk crates on the floors in their back storage office. They don't even use them anymore. They go right to the website. They can do it on their phone. They can do it on their iPad. All the property managers will have access to laptops, iPads. Everything is right there. So it's all spelled out for them. And then in every building as well, we do provide them a binder. There's something here, and it does have just a quick reference of the emergency contacts and the signed agreement. So that goes in every building. So they still have this for a quick reference. If something happens, flip to it. Hey, call Certidry. As far as total square footage, it's easily over 500,000 square foot of what we have. We get, we vary from a couple industrial places. We have, apartment buildings, condos, townhomes. We've got we got 3 hotels signed up here. So those add a lot. And we just go and we focus on, like, hotel wise, focus on the main area where you come in, all the electrical, the plumbing, and then we went in and we did the hallways, the elevators. As you know, a lot of hotels have multiple rooms. So we try to do like a single bed, king suite, a double queen, double beds. We try to do one of each room. So I'm not spending time doing 150 hotel rooms, because that would take me forever. So I would say a typical Matterport, just did one last week on an industrial building. That building was about 97,000 square feet. Didn't do the second floor because we're kind of remodeling it and stuff like that. So we want to wait. So the first floor and the warehouse was 97,000 square foot. And that took me start to finish, probably about an hour and a half to do complete. And I went in there before they were open. So there was not a lot of people walking around, got the access code. They let me in, kind of did all that. And I just kind of did my thing for an hour and a half. The whole program that we offer to customers, we call it our prep program. We don't charge for it. It's a free service we offer to them. meaning because we want to be the first call for them. We want to have the first right of refusal. So and that's just something we've always done, and it's worked out great. The Matterports that we do for them, we don't charge for the Matterports. We were kind of throwing around the idea of, yeah, we're going to charge. You know what? We just don't charge for the Matterports. We were going to do it above such and such a couple hours charge. We don't charge for that. If they want the detailed printout of the Matterport, and that varies depending on square footage, we do charge for that. We don't mark it up. We just basically run our cost through to them. The one that I just did for that 97,000 square foot, it was I think it was like $55 or something like that, that we just passed to them. And that was our only charge that we passed on to them. You know, my time is free. You know, we want to form a partnership with them. We want them to call us. We want to be able to utilize them as well too. So yeah, it's been a great success right now.
No, that's awesome. There's a lot of information there. I appreciate that, Matt. Lots of potential follow-up questions here that I have for you. You know, the Matterport's a great example of something that they can now access at their fingertips. Are you adding anything into the Matterport when it comes to matter tags or any other information, or basically just doing the rendering for them?
Yeah, we're doing the Matterports. I mean, we're putting in there, and we mark any mirrors in like bathrooms, you mark all the windows, you know, so they know, hey, what is that? You know, we actually, when we go in, you know, in the pump rooms, whether they're an existing client or not, you know, we put all our plumber tags in where all the main water shutoffs are. We go around there, we put all our plumber tags on every single water shutoff. We also put them right on our electrical shutoffs as well. So they have access to, if something happens, there's no questions, they know who to call. So we're doing all the rendering. We are making, you know, labels in there. You know, you can put anything in Matterport, whether it be, hey, this area has hardwood floors, this area has laminate floors, you know, office space. So we are kind of labeling the different spaces, but I tell you, the property managers, they really like the idea of going in there, and it helps our guys too, and their maintenance guys. Is like, okay, where is the electrical shut off? Where is the pump room? Where's the equipment room? They can go right to the Matterport. We can put a pin on there, and they can click right on it and go right to that. So they kind of know where in the building they're going. Because you get like emergency call at 3 in the morning, and these guys are like, okay, what am I walking into? Do they have carpet? Do they have hardwood floors? It's all spelled out right there, right digitally for them. So there's no questions asked.
Yeah, I love that. And I love your plumber tags. That's a great idea. And obviously they're seeing the value in it, because they're paying you for that export that you just mentioned, that you're passing off the costs. I mean, it's not a lot, but clearly, you know, they see the value in having it, so they're going to pay for it. I'm sure you could upcharge it because there's tremendous value there, but it's not necessary. So I like to see that as well. You know, from some of the sales you mentioned, you had some existing customers who are of course going to keep calling you. Have you already been able to see some, I think you were mentioning some quick success in sales already from some of the newer people that you were onboarding?
Yeah, I was looking actually yesterday, getting, you know, just kind of looking at numbers and stuff like that. And in average, for every new customer we brought on, it's been about 3 or 4 per month that they've referred to us, that they've called us in for services.
Oh,
Whether
really?
some mold remediation, you know, the hotels had a water main leak. The other one had a bathtub overflow, and it went to 3 floors. You know, so they've all already started referring. The existing ones, they're continuing to use us. We've seen a little bit of uptick on that as well, as using more. And I don't want to say, I would like to say it's because of what we're doing for them. I do have, you know, off the record from them, was like, man, we love this new digital platform. It's easier for us to keep records. And why I like the digital is, versus the book and binder paper wise, I try to get the property managers to buy into the process, meaning, hey, you have this digital platform, okay? It's yours. You have a user ID and login. We want them to buy in, meaning they can edit anything. They can add contacts. They can delete contacts. If we get them to buy into the process, then they're bought into the program, versus just saying, hey, send me everything, I'll put it in. Okay, great. But if we're having them to put some blood, sweat, and equity into it, it's just a win-win for everybody. And it's been working out great. There's been no complaints at all.
That's awesome. And I think just to kind of highlight one thing that you kind of mentioned through that whole beginning part, and a little bit of your process and whatnot, in terms of, was taking your existing clients, right? Like most people that are probably going to sign up for some type of ERP platform or start their own program, even offline, you're going to have probably commercial clients, property managers that are already existing, that there's no reason why you can't, as you said, just start having them use it, just notify them that you're kind of bringing it to this next level of enhancement of services that you're offering to them, without requiring any kind of agreement or change in the relationship.
And that, we got some new people and they're like, oh, how do I do this? How do I do this? And, I don't want to say it's an easy process. You're not going to get this done in one meeting. It takes 6-7 times to meet this. Your first meeting is like, hey, who do I have to talk to? Who's the decision maker there? And sometimes that takes 1 or 2 phone calls, stop-ins, emails. Once you get that, you kind of send a little blurb about the company, what we do, what we offer, how we can help. Sometimes you get email back, sometimes you get a phone call back right away. It doesn't happen overnight. The hotel, it took like 7 months, prior to there to finish. It was like 6 or 7 meetings and finally like, let's just do this, meet with the people, show them you're actually a person. You're not just, a company. And now that we have this digital platform, prior to this is like, yeah, we can do all this. We have this here. It was like, okay, now we can show them we really do have this. It's live on our website. It's there, it's live. So they're really buying into that. And I just try to stress to people, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah,
you got to have patience. The sales cycle some are going to be like, yep, let's do this right now. It doesn't happen like that. These property managers, their time is valuable. So when you get in front of them, you got to try to get as much information as you can to them, but you also have to be respectful, not to overwhelm them. So you have to respect the process. And you do that, they respect you in turn, and then they give you more time. Hey, great. Talk to my general manager, talk to my maintenance director. Perfect. Then you're in. Then you kind of set it up. And then what I also did is I did one for our building here, a prep program where I got everything, how the website is there. So I use that as a dummy versus using another client's, showing a client. There's a gray area there. So I didn't want to get involved in that. So we actually did a prep program for our building. So we got, all the contacts, we've got the Matterports of the office, the shop, everything, where the plumbing is, where the electrical, all that kind of stuff, that's all done. So I can use that as a dummy. Once they see that, I was like, how can we do that here? I just need you to tell me we can do it. I need, it depends how big and how, it could be a half a day, it could be an hour and a half, but just give me some time and I'll get out of your way, do a walkthrough before so you know where everything's at. It's like, hey, Jeff, I just did that walkthrough. Can I set up a time where I can come and take some pictures, do a Matterport, and put this together for you? Once we get the Matterport done, it takes anywhere from 1 to 2, maybe 3 days, depending on how much render's got to be done that we get it back from Matterport. But in the meantime, I can go in and get, everything labeled, all the documents in there, all the contacts in there. Once I get that Matterport, just simple, click the link, put it in, and it's done. So it's not a lot of hard work.
Right. And you mentioned a lot of good points. And I have some training videos that talks a lot about that sales process. So have you kind of hit on that? It can take several months and of course, several meetings, getting the right decision makers. Yep. So two questions on that would be, is there typically a number of people that you like to have at the top of your sales funnel? If you ever think about that, like if you're at like the presentation and follow-up process for a lot of people, how many people do you want to make sure that you're at like the beginning process for, right? Because that way you can make sure you're at, multiple stages with a lot of different people in your sales funnel.
Yeah, perfect example. The one that I did over here in Waukesha, industrial building, they're an insurance investment group. So they handle a lot of insurance companies. And I never, I just walked in, dropped my car off and stuff like that. And the director of sales called me about a week later, says, hey, just got your card hand on my desk, tell me about what you do. Told me what we did. It's like, hey, this is great. And I asked him point blank, I'm like, do I work with you? Who do I work with? Can you help me get in contact there? When we did the first, we went to their boardroom and did that. So it was their sales director, it was their general manager. At that point, their CEO was in town from Chicago in there. I try not to get like the initial walkthrough. I want the key decision makers. I want the managers in there if possible. And as we know, these property guys, like say they're busy. You're not going to be able to get them all at one time. So I do a lot of Zoom calls as well. And that's real convenient for these guys because they're all over the place. You might be able to get like the commercial property director, but they have maybe 7, 8, 9 property managers and they're all the place. If we can set up a time to get a Zoom call in there, that's ideal. When I do the presentation in person, I'm trying to think here. A lot of the times I'm always having the decision makers in there. And then Once we do that, hey, we really like this. Now let's loop our property managers in this because we want their feedback. Do they feel this would be beneficial to the process? And then we either try to set up an in-person meeting somewhere, but they're strategically placed. So a lot of times that happens in Zoom calls. And with COVID now, I mean, you have to do whatever means necessary to get in front of them. So doing a lot of Zoom calls, and that's worked out great for us. And then, with that, I can jump right on the website, kind of walk through it, and I can see them. They're like, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's go." So
Yeah, that's awesome. And like you said, that there's going to be the maintenance, there's going to be property managers, engineers. There's a lot of different people can be involved in this process. And like you said, getting them to buy into it, getting them to even put some of their information in, maybe after you do the initial entry, is important to them buying into the process. And I always like to preach that, business continuity isn't only about the disaster restoration part. There's security, HR, IT. I mean, there's a lot of people that
Absolutely.
if you really get them to buy in, there's a lot of other people internally that they can use to really have a successful disaster preparedness plan. When you're doing your meetings, I think we talked a lot about your outreach at the very beginning, which was great, in 6 to 7 meetings, maybe close. You're doing different types of outreach, calls, etc. What does that actual meeting look like? You get a hold of them and they say, okay, let's do this Zoom meeting, or let's do this presentation, this ERP meeting. What does that specifically look like in terms of what you're pitching them? What does maybe your PowerPoint, it sounds like you have a really good demo on your existing building that you show them. What does the actual presentation look like that you're trying to help close the deal on?
Yeah, the presentation is pretty simple. I've got I don't want to say generic, a PowerPoint that I put together. Again, it's you try to lay it out, introductions, your agenda, and then you get into it. Always introduce myself. Jennifer and Dave are owners, our emails, our phone numbers. Hey, we're a family-run company. Dave and Jennifer, if you want to call them, email them. And here's the deal. These property managers, they are constantly getting all these restoration companies coming at them. Hey, we could take care of your water. We could take care of your mold. They know about us. They know about everybody else. But what sets us apart is it's a family-run company. It's not, we don't have 50 locations. We've got one location in Madison, Wisconsin, and we service, southeastern, southwestern Wisconsin. Okay. What the meeting consists of is, we got a PowerPoint. It's 10 slides. That's it. A little bit about what Certidry does, how we came about to, we started out as a flooring company. Our owners didn't like, they had some water losses. They didn't like the response they got from other restoration companies. So I was like, you know what? Let's start our own restoration company. Let's do this. So we started that. They're kind of there. And then we get into it, it's like, hey, here's what we do. We do water, kind of a little bit about, got some pictures of water spots, mold, fire, asbestos. And then a simple slide is, a matter of fact, I took it off of your suggestions on your website is like, what do you do when an emergency happens? Who do you call? How do you react? Kind of going to there. And then the next slides are, we have a slide on our prep program. Here's what it entails: 24/7, 365 access. You're in a prep program here, you get priority access, meaning you call in, you need people, we're going to go right now. Okay. And that's where that contract comes in. It's not legally binding. It's basically a gentleman's handshake saying, hey, we're going to call us. We're going to do our best effort to get to you in a timely fashion. And when we get calls in, within a half hour, we usually have somebody on site to inspect it or to start work. Okay. Then we just kind of go down, we talk about the prep, what we do, what it's about, the whole program. And then we break it down a little bit more as like, I don't know if you have a disaster program. There's a lot of savings you could get. Here's the old way is the book and binder. Got some pictures of some offices that I have permission to use of, hey, here's for all my buildings right here, book and binder. Is like, what if we can simplify that for you? On the PowerPoint is like, can I simplify your disaster process? Yes, great. Then we go into it. I got a link. It goes right to the website. I jump right into the prep program that we did for our building, and really it sells itself. Once they see it there, it just sells itself. They're all about is like, wow, if I can eliminate all this and everything is right here in the cloud store digitally, I don't need this. It just makes it easier for them. Once they see the program, it pretty much sells itself. I don't have to do much after that. I just kind of, matter of fact, I just sit in there and say, hey, we're going to go to our website right now. I'm going to show you how to log in here. I log in and I'm silent. I just click contacts. There's all contacts. all the documents, the vendors. Then I get into the pictures, the Matterports, and it sells itself. And they're sitting back and their eyes are like, yeah, yeah. And I look at them on Zoom and they're like, yeah, yeah, we got
And they
it.
see how, then they start
got it.
envisioning their properties being laid out in a similar
Yeah.
fashion, having access to it.
Yep.
That's great. And I love that you keep mentioning the prep because, one of the things that all we're trying to accomplish is, like you said, you had a program, and our goal is to kind of bring it to the next level in the cloud. So, Matt had already had his and wanted to make sure that they could still call it whatever they called it and ran it the same way, which is exactly how we want things to work. So they run theirs as, a common one in the industry, which is the prep program.
And the other thing I do too, Jeff, is if there's a prospective client that I'm really trying to target, I go in and I make them an account on there. So they got their name, their address, they already have the picture of their older building. If I know some contacts, I already have them loaded. So when I go and talk to them, hey, let me show you something here. I've already got you in our system here. They're like, oh wow, this company is taking the time to put us in. Maybe they really do care. I say, okay, you're in here. Now let me show you what yours could look like. Then I jump into ours. Like, well, what does that process take? Like, I said, I just need to walk through your facility. I just want to get it, do a little sketch here, get it in my mind. And then after that, I'm like, hey, I need 2 hours. I need 2 hours, whether it be during business, before, or after, to get all this done. I'm not going to interrupt your daily business. And that's it.
I love that. Yep. And, that's one of the big things, right? How much time does it take? I get asked a lot. And also in terms of your end or for them, in terms of overcoming that obstacle, how to make it the easiest for them.
Yeah.
So just kind of some kind of parting thoughts, any additional ideas or anything topics that we haven't already talked about today. I think you've already done a tremendous job of giving us some really good ideas with the binder that you have, the demos and examples that you actually present to them, your plumber tags, your examples on Matterports. I mean, I think a lot of this is some really good takeaways. Any kind of final thoughts?
As you and I keep talking, we're constantly trying to, wrap up our digital presence. Okay. We've always had a digital presence, but we want to take it to the next level. And that's why we're going to partner more with you on that. We need to get it out there more, who we are, what we do, the digital experience, the Google experience, all that kind of stuff. I think that's the next step for us. And I think that's really going to help. And then it's also going to help too, as we are going to transition now into the app that you offer. We are going to be doing that. I got approval, so we'll be doing that. But I think that's going to also help us get to the next level where we can, get with plumbers, get with property managers, insurance agents, send them push notifications, keep in contact with them either on a daily basis, ideally to start out with a weekly basis, a bi-weekly basis, high wind alert. Hey, we got a big storm coming, give them some push notifications out just so we can be in their mindset. We are also starting to make up some simple yard signs, and we just go around to businesses, and this is more for us trying to hire, technicians, but we're just putting them in front of like Home Depot, Menards, anywhere they go to buy supplies. We're just putting these simple yard signs out there. And if they get taken down, they're cheap. Who cares? It is what it is. But I think with your help on the the SEO end of it, and then the app, that's really going to help us get to the next level. I think that's where we got to go next.
Awesome. I appreciate the time, Matt. I think it's been Absolutely. Very helpful. And hopefully everyone else has also enjoyed this ERP Success meeting.